Hello, and welcome to the After Now podcast, originally recorded by one Andromeda Barkin and faithfully retold and uploaded by yours truly, KR Quill. Please enjoy the episode. Episode 1, Pilot. Hello? Is this thing even working? I sure hope the battery isn't corroded. That'd mean I'm just talking to myself in an empty office building. Not like I don't do that anyway, but it'd be a lot sadder if I'm trying to record something and it just doesn't record. Well, I'm gonna hope that this is on. And well, how do you start one of these things? I guess I should start with my name, huh? My name is Andromeda Barkin. And this is day 1 of me recording my life after now, I guess. If you're hearing this now, I can only hope that someone found this recording tape thing. I don't know, what do you call this thing? Hopefully that doesn't mean I'm dead, but you take what you can get these days. I'm currently hiding out in a really tall building that used to be a bunch of offices. There are cubicles everywhere. It looks really sad. They're all empty, and they likely have been for several months now. I have 92 marks on my arm, so about 3 months. That's how long it's been since it happened. Since our apocalypse, I guess, is what you would call it. I don't know. Wasn't nearly as dramatic as all that. It was just kind of sad. Almost. It was strange. One day I was just going to work and going to school like any other regular person. But then the news. It's always the news. Of course, I didn't pay much attention to the news, to be quite honest, because most of the time there's nothing but bad news. And I needed to stay sane for my own mental health. But then people started talking about it. There was this, I don't know, virus, bacteria, something that spreads, that had spread from an animal to a human, and something started happening. They were first talking about it as though it were like some kind of cold or flu. But then it got worse. And then they started telling us about all these terrible things, that these people had gone crazy and should not be approached at any cost. And if you started experiencing these symptoms, please go to your nearest quarantine facility, as they were trying to contain the spread. I mean, I don't leave the house all that much. It scared the hell out of everyone. So really nobody was leaving their homes. Well, unless they had to live. Me, I was one of the lucky ones, I guess, for a week or so. And I had some money saved up, which let me stay at home. And the only time I really left was to go get food. But then it started spreading faster. It started spreading so fast that people were actively saying, hey, don't let these people bite you. That's how you get it. When it gets in your bloodstream, that's how it gets you. And we don't have a cure. Well, all these doomsday preppers popped up and were like, we told you, which I think was, I was scrolling through social media, and somebody had recorded a video of one of these doomsday preppers going on this huge big rant and then getting torn apart by these, well, I guess we call them walkers, but you might know them better as zombies. Because I guess that's kind of what they are. They kind of fit the type, you know. They go after people. They are not really thinking all that much. They try to eat people. I mean, that's kind of the hallmark of a zombie, right? Kind of something that used to be human. We call them walkers. They're everywhere. That's why I'm hiding out in this abandoned office building. They're not all that great at climbing stairs, funnily enough. I don't know. I'm no doctor, but I think it's something to do with their joints. I mean, they move so stiffly. That's why we call them walkers. They move like their joints are kind of locked up, which makes it really hard for them to get up high and to climb stairs. So I'm currently on the 30th floor of this office building, and well, if any zombies were coming, I would hear them. But this office building is getting a little bit more towards the edge of town. At least, well, the edge of the main part of town, I guess. And I'm not in the city that I started in. Like, this isn't my office building. This is someone else's. I think it was a bank, maybe. I don't know. I really don't. But I was somewhere else when this all started. And then everything just kind of happened, and my first worry was my parents, because they're both on the older side, and although my dad used to be in the military, I mean, they're both on the older side. Of course, I had a right to be worried about them. So whenever people were saying, hey, get away from other people, make sure you're not in crowded areas, I packed up my stuff, literally one duffel bag. Anything that I could leave, I left. I locked the door behind me, and I drove to my parents' place, which took me a few hours of driving. I was able to get gas, thankfully. We hadn't really had much of an outbreak in my city yet, but I knew it was only a matter of time for things to spread. It actually didn't take all that long, which was the sad thing. You would think that if people were able to, stop traveling and being aware of like the signs and the symptoms of everything, we'd be able to stop this, but no, we weren't. I arrived at my parents' house and it was empty. They weren't there. I assumed, I hoped that they had gone somewhere safe. Somewhere where they'd be protected. Because I didn't know where they were. They didn't leave a note. They didn't send me a message. They didn't call me. I don't know where they are. But there's only so much I can do if I don't know where they are. But I took advantage of their house because the shotgun that sat behind the utility room door was gone. The one that we used to shoot rattlesnakes, that one was gone. I could only assume that my dad or my mom had grabbed it, maybe in a rush out the door. I don't know. The Jeep was missing. My dad's car was gone. I can only assume that they took that and they went somewhere. I hope they're okay. But I went to their gun locker, and I knew the combination. They had given it to me when I had become an adult. And I grabbed the one handgun that was in there. Not that I really was a great shot, but anything is better than nothing. I also went through my dad's tools. He has a lot. I was able to find a machete and a shovel. But the machete was the one I took because it's a little bit lighter, and I'm not exactly a big person, and more weight meant less maneuverability. I knew my greatest asset would be to run away because those things weren't particularly fast. And then there were people videoing the whole thing. Like, they were out there videoing the walkers. I'm just sitting here like, why? Why are you out there? Why? It's the end of the world. And you're posting the horror for everyone to see. God. Why? After I grabbed those guns, the gun, singular, and the machete, and grabbed ammo. I filled a backpack, one of my old ones, that my parents had for some reason kept, with as much dry goods as I could, things that I could just eat straight out of the can. I remembered to grab a can opener because several of them weren't pull tab cans, and I knew I'd be in trouble if I didn't have a can opener. Found a knife. That was my dad's. One of those ones that you can flip open and you got a knife. And I drove away. I would have been safe there. For a while, anyway, I'm sure. Because my parents' house was in the middle of nowhere, but they left. And I wasn't about to sit in their empty house when they weren't there. I don't know, it just felt wrong. It just felt wrong to me. But I traveled. I grabbed a Sharpie too while I was there at their house, and I started marking little marks on my arm. I figured I wouldn't get a shower in a while, so it would probably be okay. I could use the tallies on my arms to keep track of how many days it had been since the end of the world. Or the end of an era, I guess. I traveled to a big city. I'm not going to tell you the name of it. Hopefully you won't need to know the name of it by now. But my car broke down just outside that city. I had run out of gas, and I wasn't brave enough to face a gas station that could potentially have walkers in it. Listen, I was one person with a machete and a handgun. And I didn't, I know zombies are, super popular, and there's all these things about them, and I didn't know if sound would, make them come running in the sense or not. If I needed to be silent, how easy it'd be to kill them. If I needed to shoot them in the head or in the heart, if their heart even worked properly anymore. But I tried to avoid doing as much of that as I could. I think I was about a month in, making my way into the inner city, practicing and getting a lot better at going through abandoned grocery stores and convenience stores for dry food that hadn't been taken. I ate pretty much anything I could find. Not like things that weren't edible, but any food that I could find. And I made my way into the city, and about a month in, 31 days, I think, was the first time that I killed a zombie. I was in a convenience store. I was grabbing some granola bars when all of a sudden I heard these shuffling footsteps from behind me. And too late, I turned. It had grabbed one of my arms, and I was scared. I was terrified. My machete was in easy reach, so I grabbed that first, and I pulled it out of the makeshift scabbard I had made. It wasn't really a scabbard. It was just a piece of rope in a loop that let the machete sit in it. And I pulled it out, and I took a swing at the walker's neck, and it sliced halfway through. It let go of my arm. I pulled out the blade, and I hacked again, and the creature's head came clean off. It's weird, it didn't bleed. I thought it was weird that it didn't bleed. Usually in the movies you see this spurt of blood, but it didn't bleed. The head just fell, and the body toppled over. I finished grabbing my granola bars. I put my machete back in my belt loop. I would clean it later. And I left before any other walker could find me. Oh gosh. It's been, oh, it's taken me months to get here. This, I think, is the first place, this office building here. I think it's the first place that I've been able to sit down for more than a couple of days, not have any walkers come after me. I found this little recording device thingy in an abandoned grocery store. It was on one of the shelves. It was the only one left, which I think was incredibly ironic. I've only seen a few people who weren't walkers since I first got to the city, but they've been few and far between. Most people kind of hide. Some people I know form groups. My phone doesn't work anymore, at least not in the way it used to. My charger doesn't work, at the very least, so my phone stays off most of the time once I realized my charger wasn't working. I think there's 75% left on my battery now. I gotta keep it going. But I've got a radio, battery powered, that after a couple of tries I found this station with somebody who was giving news. They were talking about how people were forming groups and taking over abandoned buildings and building communities out of them. But these were really, well, the word that the broadcaster used was click. Click-like. You know, like when you're in school and everybody's in groups and they won't let you join because you're not a popular kid. Those kind of cliques. And a lot of these groups were violent, really violent, made up of a lot of doomsday preppers and their ilk. The ones whose first and only solution to things is guns. And I'm better off on my own. I haven't seen another human face in, well, I think the last time I actually talked to anybody was 12 days ago when I ran into that girl and her mom. They were just trying to survive. Mom told me that she used to be a police officer. Said that's the only reason that she survived that long. That and the determination to make sure her daughter was safe. Anyway, I think that's enough for today. I'm about to fall asleep, and I don't want this thing to run out of battery. So, end day 1, I guess.